Hello, welcome to a brand new video. Have you ever argued with someone and feel like your brain is melting? Chances are it's not just you, but it's the logic being brutally attacked and murdered in real time. Today we're going to look at the most common logical fallacies, or the sneaky mistakes in reasoning that make dumb arguments sound smart. Let's begin with non sequitur, which is Latin for "it does not follow." What this means is that the conclusion logically doesn't follow from the premises. For example, all cats have 4 legs. My dog has 4 legs, therefore my dog is a cat. Next we have the modal fallacy. This is the fallacy of confusing necessity with sufficiency, and that's assuming that just because something is necessary, that it's enough. For example, having oxygen is necessary for life, therefore if we pump more oxygen, we'll live forever. After that, we have the fallacy of composition. This is the fallacy of assuming that what's true of the parts is true of the whole. For example, each atom that makes an elephant is small, so therefore an elephant is small. However, this is sometimes true. So for example, each brick is red and therefore the wall is red. Next we have the appeal to authority, and as you can probably tell by the name, it's using the authority's opinion as evidence, even when they're not expert on the topic. For example, my favorite actor says that this diet works, so therefore it must be true. Our fifth fallacy is the false dilemma, also known as the black or white fallacy, and this fallacy is presenting 2 options as the only possibilities while others exist. For example, you probably heard this saying in a bunch of movies, that you're either with us or against us. Next we have the false equivalence. This is treating 2 things as morally or logically equal when they're not. It's like saying that jaywalking and genocide are equally bad because they're both illegal. After that we have the fallacy of special pleading, and this is applying standards to others that you exempt from yourself. So rules for thee, not for me. Next we have begging the question, or circular reasoning. This is when the conclusion is just a rephrasing of the premise. For example, the study is reliable because it was published in a reputable journal. And you can also say that the journal is reputable because they publish reliable studies. And you can just hear the logic eating its own tail. Next we have cherry picking, and this is selecting evidences that support your view while ignoring evidence that doesn't. For example, this study shows that chocolate helps you lose weight while ignoring the dozens that say it doesn't. And if you torture the data long enough, it'll confess to anything. Similar to the last one, we have the survivorship bias, and this is when you're focusing on the winners and ignoring the losers. For example, all successful people wake up at 5 a.m., so if you wake up early, you'll be successful too. But you're not hearing from the 10,000 broke people who also woke up at 5 a.m. And let me know in the comments below if you understand what this picture means. Next we have the straw man fallacy. This is when you're misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. For example, person A says that we should improve public transport, while person B responds with, "Oh, so you hate cars?" Next we have the genetic fallacy, and this is judging a claim based on its origin rather than its merit. For example, just because an idea came from ancient Greece, then it must be outdated. So who knew the ideas about geometry expired in 300 BC? Next we have the appeal to authority, and this is assuming that something is true because many people believe it. And a long time ago, people believed that bloodletting cured everything, so yeah. Similarly, we have the next fallacy, which is the appeal to tradition, and this is arguing that something is right or better just because it's old. Next we have the appeal to nature, and this is assuming that natural means good or moral. For example, it's natural, so therefore must be healthy. Well, cyanide is also natural, and so is arsenic, so bon appetit. Next we have the appeal to emotion, and as you can tell by its name, this is manipulating emotions instead of presenting rational arguments. And this one works great in politics, but it's terrible in philosophy. Next we have the ad hominem, and this is attacking the person instead of the argument. For example, you're an idiot, so therefore your argument is wrong. And even idiots can be right sometimes. Just look at the lottery winners. Next we have the argument from silence, and this is assuming that something is true just because there's no evidence against it. For example, ancient historians have never mentioned XYZ battle, so therefore it must have never happened. Who knows, maybe the historians were just busy that day. Next we have the sunk cost fallacy, and this is when you're continuing something just because you've already invested time or money, even though it makes no longer any sense. For example, me continuing my medical education just because I'm 2 years into it. I'm just kidding. The last fallacy we have for this video is the fallacy. This is assuming that just because an argument contains a fallacy, that the conclusion must be false. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And that brings us to the end of this video. And next time you're in an argument, spot the fallacy before it spots you. And if you have any questions about the fallacies mentioned, please leave a comment below and I'll try to explain to my best of my abilities. And don't forget to like and subscribe as always.